You may have heard a rumor that the Jeff Fugate podcast has gone to the dogs. Well, today's episode may lend some credibility to that. I welcome to the podcast a new friend, Mr. David Harris. He is the founder, owner, and master dog trainer at Protection Dog Sales. Welcome, David. I'm glad you're here.
Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much. And it's a blessing to have Mr. Nuke von Proofenpudding with us today. For over 40 years, I've preached the Bible as a pastor across America and around the world. I've led in the work of the local church. I've been actively engaged in the political process in both our state and nation. The purpose of the church is to stand. I've stood alongside veterans and first responders. My heartbeat is revival, and I refuse to sit on the sidelines. So buckle up and let's tackle the issues, challenges, and opportunities facing your family and mine head on. Well, many of you are listening to the podcast on all the different platforms. There is a good number of folks that are watching either on YouTube channel or Facebook. If you are listening and you would like to get a visual of who we're talking to and what we're talking about, you can go to the website protectiondogsales.com, or you can look up David Harris or PDS, anything like that. And you will find Protection Dog Sales, and you can see Nuke von Proofenpudding and all of the family that is there, and learn about them as we talk to Master Trainer David Harris. I met David and Jenny just a few months ago, just wonderful folks. I fell in love with them quickly, and we have become fast friends, and I've been anxious. You know, I've been talking to politicians. I'm going to have some fun today. And we're going to have a good time. I love dogs, and I love David Harris. So we're glad you're here. Tell us about you first. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana, so I'm technically a Cajun.
Yeah, down in the bayous. Hot place, humid.
Yep, that's right. My father had some medical issues, so he retired very young, and we moved back to his home state, which was Oklahoma. So I got there at 8 and grew up there until I went to school at Oklahoma State University.
I see. I asked you the first day I met you. I'm a pastor, of course, and preacher and a Christian. And so one of the first questions I asked you was if you knew Christ as Savior, and you told me that you were saved and baptized. I forget what age. Did you say 8 or 10 or?
Yes. That's about right.
Yeah, and became a Christian then, and you've been attending church the last few months, and I'm just excited to talk about the dogs. Let's talk about you for just a minute, and you went to college. How did you learn, or what did you learn about dogs?
Well, when I was at Oklahoma State University, I studied animal husbandry, genetics, psychology, so, that really prepared me, and then after I left Oklahoma State University, I went to West Virginia Canine College, which is a trade school for dog trainers.
Wow.
So I went through their professional dog trainers course, and it was my intention to stay there, but I didn't tell them that. So I worked really hard. I had very, very high grades, both in the classroom and on the field. And before I graduated, they offered me a position as an instructor. So I stayed there for 2 years. My primary goal was to be able to do research and, try different methods of training. When you run a business, you can't do research. You got to make a living.
Yeah.
So staying there and working, basically for free for 2 years gave me the latitude to do the research and try different methods. So that's been the real key to my success.
Yeah. What years? What year was that?
It was 85.
85. So I graduated high school, in 82, in college, the years after that. So 40 years, you've been doing this 40 years, haven't you?
Yeah. 4 decades.
4 decades. It sounds like a long time if you're looking forward, but looking back,
Right.
It's gone by quick.
It's amazing.
Now, you told me a story about a little dog you found when you first started.
Yeah. So when I was at Oklahoma State University, and we had a judging class, and it was a laying hen judging class. Believe it or not, they have a criteria for laying hens, and they had brought all these coops out into the grassy areas so that we didn't have to go in, where it didn't smell so good. And we were walking around trying to learn how to judge chickens, and this little mixed breed German Shepherd puppy wandered up. And me being a dog lover from the beginning, I opened up one of the coops and gave him an egg, and that was it. He was my dog from that point forward. And over the course of the next year, he inspired me. He was really the impetus of why I went so deep into dog training. Oklahoma State University being an animal college, they had a massive library, and I studied every method: circus training, military training, hunting, therapy dogs, everything available about training, all the different methods. I wanted to learn them all. I didn't want to be a method trainer. There's one way to train dogs. I wanted to be able to train all methods of dogs. And he really inspired me because I couldn't keep up. He was learning behaviors faster than I could teach them. So he really motivated me.
Now, at the end of the audio part here and us talking about dogs, we're going to put some video. We're going to do some video downstairs. And you're going to see Nuke work. Now, he's just a puppy. The dog you saw behind me, Nuke, is only 9 months old. And for him to sit in that wobbly, moving chair was pretty neat that he sat there that long. And I'm just so impressed. I want you to see Nuke at the end of the podcast today. And don't forget that website, Protection Dog Sales. They have just hundreds of videos. I watch them for rest time and entertainment time. I look just about every day to see if there are new ones up there because I enjoy watching those. Now, when did you start Protection Dog Sales in Frankfort?
So when I originally moved to Kentucky, I was actually based out of Lexington, but I had no place to live. I moved to Kentucky with $300, a pregnant wife, and 3 German Shepherd puppies, and knew no one in the state. So when I first began, I really started with literally nothing, and it built very, very quickly, and I was able to rent a home, and eventually I purchased a small kennel in Frankfort, Kentucky. So that in 87.
That was 87.
That was about 87 when we really got rolling there. And in the beginning, we boarded dogs, we groomed dogs, we trained dogs for the public. I do what I call threshold training. In other words, anything that would come over that threshold, I would train it. Pit bulls that had bitten many people, and little dogs that couldn't be housebroke, and chewing dogs, and every kind of problem, every kind of psychosis. We saw it in the beginning, and I didn't have the luxury of picking and choosing what I was going to work with. So I got a master class in dealing with dogs with massive behavior problems.
Wow. Now, fast forward to the last 10 years, 15 years, you have been selling protection dogs to families, to individuals all over the nation and foreign countries?
Correct. We've exported dogs to 17 countries around the world.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, my knowledge of a protection dog would have been limited to just a canine unit dog from the state police or the local sheriff department, because my family are state troopers that retired. My father-in-law had German Shepherds, excuse me, and my wife always, they loved those German Shepherds, but they were mean, or that's how I would describe them. When I came to your place and I saw this is a protection dog, this is the kindest, friendliest dog I've ever seen. And it's amazing the difference in that. What is the difference in that type of
Well, we call
training?
it the PDS difference, okay? And the difference is both genetic. We're selecting a different temperament type. So police dogs, they're bred to be quick to react, a little bit defensive. That is exactly what is needed in that situation. You have 1/100th of a second to make a decision.
Right.
They can't think about it. They can't hesitate. They have to react very, very quickly. A personal protection dog is next level up as far as tolerance to public pressure. In other words, if you're out in public and a 4-year-old child breaks away from its mother and comes running at you and grabs your dog around the neck, he has to tolerate that. And police dogs do not. They don't have to put up with any kind of public pressure. So a personal protection dog has to be able to have a long fuse, much more tolerance, and that starts with correct breeding. And that's where my education at Oklahoma State University, studying genetics, really helped me understand how to pull together the different bloodlines. We are currently in our 7th generation of our own bloodlines.
Wow.
It matters. Genetics matters.
Yes. Well, when you came in this morning and Nuke's trainer, which is Daniel, he and Taylor, and so they all come in together, and I asked Taylor, the mom, I said, do you have any concerns about this dog? I mean, this big German Shepherd dog being around this baby, and she said absolutely not. She sets the baby down, and Nuke just lays his head down. They show me videos of the baby laughing, and Nuke is almost babysitting.
Yes, German Shepherds are amazing babysitters, but we socialize our dogs extensively. All of our dogs are raised in foster homes.
So they're raised in foster homes, so they don't stay in a kennel.
Correct.
Out. Wow.
Yeah. And that, that is really the difference in protection dog sales and every other company on the planet, is we've learned how to scale this business without making it inhumane. In other words, to raise 100 dogs a year, the other companies, they keep dogs in cages, they bring them out and they work them, they go back in the cage. So they can live in a cage 23 hours a day, if not more. Our dogs live in homes with people.
Wow.
They go to ballet with the kids and soccer, and they're just part of a family, but they're also professionally trained. So we have the best of both worlds, that happy, fun life of a family, and then the professional training. So it's really
well, I've seen them on the other side. I mean, I have seen these dogs receive the command, somebody is approaching them that appears dangerous, and I've seen them say, stop them, and they stopped them.
They do. So our dogs are bred to have what's called fighting drive. So it's different than defensive drive. You've been around people that are defensive. You can say something nice, and they'll take it as an insult. Okay, that's defensive. I'll say, your hair looks so great today. And they'll go, what, it didn't look great yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
That's defensive. Dogs can be defensive as well. And defensive is dangerous because you never know what's going to cause a dog to react. Okay. So we stay away from defensiveness in our dogs, and but to develop the fighting part of it, we develop fighting drive. Imagine a young Chuck Norris, and he's 5 years old and he's running around karate chopping everything.
Yeah.
He had fighting drive from jump, right?
Yeah.
So that got developed and disciplined and built in there. So our protection training is different. It builds confidence, teaches the dogs how to react, but also how to not overreact.
That's amazing. I mean, I was just so impressed. Now, you have, I think, 4 breeds of dogs that you train. Is that right?
Our primary 3 breeds are German Shepherds, Dobermans, and Giant Schnauzers. And the reason we want to breed our own dogs is that's quality control. We're able to control the breeding program and the genetics, the health, longevity. These are all things that are very important to us.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And it's amazing. And of course, 2 of the dogs shed natural. The Schnauzer, their hair is groomed. They're cut. Is that right?
That's correct. They're a very low shedding breed, and thus they're very, very popular. And we're adding Airedales to our lineup. So We've been working very hard to get the quality genetics to meet our standards. And we're also going to be adding Boxers as well. We want to have some diversification, give consumers a choice.
Yeah. That's neat. Now, I love dogs. I've always had a dog. I have a little dog today that is a Shishon, and it is a lap dog. And so it doesn't matter how long I sit and study and prepare a sermon, read a book. If I'm sick, if I'm healthy, if I'm watching a ball game, no matter what, that little dog is always right there beside me. And I like that. I've always enjoyed dogs. Then I look at these dogs and I realize, okay, this main purpose of this dog is to protect me, to protect my family. But you trained them. And so if I purchased a dog and I became an owner, I'm not a trainer. How do I learn I know how to love a dog.
Right.
How do I learn how to take care of that dog or tell it what it needs to do if I need protection or if I just need a companion?
Yeah. So a wonderful question and very important to understand. Protection dog sales we don't just sell protection dogs. We sell education. We're an education company. We're a service company. We make sure our customers have the information they want. I used an analogy with you earlier. Back in the day when you had a VCR, you didn't know how to build it, but you knew how to operate it.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine still flashes 12 o'clock.
A lot of our customers' dogs don't do everything they could do, but we do provide an owner's manual. We have an educational website that goes through every possible question and detail. We have an ebook. We have support materials. All of our dogs' behaviors are documented prior to them going to the new home. It's what's called an exit video. It's a summary of all the hand signals, the verbal commands, the service dog behaviors that we teach our dogs. So they have a visual. And then we don't ship dogs. We deliver dogs. I've flown as far.
That's neat.
I've flown as far as Cambodia to deliver a dog to a new family. And once again, my wife, Jenny, she's got well over 2 million miles flying around the country delivering dogs.
Right.
It was amazing. You know, part of what we do is hand delivering dogs.
Yes. People have different lifestyles, okay? I'm a pastor. What are the different lifestyle people that have a protection dog, and how do the dogs learn, or how do you train a dog to fit the different lifestyle of their owner? Do you match dogs to personality to people?
Yes. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but another super secret, of ours is the ability to match. So because we have 47 different foster homes, they all have different personalities. The dogs all have different personalities. And
47 different foster homes that take care of dogs. Okay.
Yeah, some of them have children, some of them don't have children, some of them have livestock, some of them don't. Some live in apartments, some live on farms. That diversification is where we get our strength, okay? And we move dogs around so they get a variety of environments as they're growing up. So if we deliver a dog to New York City, the noise doesn't bother them. If we deliver a dog, to a quiet town in Italy, which I've done, it doesn't bother them. So they're prepared. They've seen so many different life events and growing up that they can handle all these different changes.
We were talking the other day about, you were telling me a story about a veteran. I believe it was a veteran that came to you about a protection dog.
Right.
And you just knew in your mind, I know the dog. To try. Tell me that story if you can.
Yeah, and I believe maybe there's a little higher power involved in some of these matches, because sometimes it's on a subconscious level, I make matches and they just turn out to be amazing. In this situation, this gentleman had been very, very badly injured in an accident. He'd been blown up, okay? And he had some physical problems. He was in the hospital almost 2 years, and he was lonely. He lived alone, and he just wanted a companion dog. And this particular dog just popped into my mind. And the beautiful part of the story is this dog was a little reticent. He was not a super friendly, happy dog. He didn't like everybody. And it made it difficult for us to find the right home for him, because people would come to visit him and he would just like, I don't know you. But when this gentleman walked in.
Sort of like my mother-in-law when I'm kidding.
Been down that road. So when this gentleman walked in the door, this dog act like he'd known him his whole life. He was over the moon to see him. He was so happy to meet this guy for the first time, where other people, he was like,
Wow.
And it was a perfect match. And then, less than 2 weeks after having the dog, he called me and he was very emotional. And what he was going to tell me was a story that really rocked me. And the story was, and I didn't know this during the process, Daniel knew about it, but I didn't. He has night terrors. So he wakes up from these horrible dreams. He's sweating and crying and screaming. It's a terrible experience for him. But the first time he started to have this night terror, the dog recognized it from his bed, leaped into the bed with this gentleman, and licked him till he woke up. And he never got to the part of the dream where it was really terrible.
Wow.
And he was so happy, so blessed to have this dog. It was really chilling to know that a dog like that can make a difference in so many different ways.
Now, the different settings that dogs go into, I travel every week to preach somewhere 2/3 of the time I fly, and half the time there is a dog on the plane, and usually they're companion dogs but there was a lady sitting with me there in first class that had a beautiful dog. She was a widow, and she lived in Florida. And I told her about you. She said, "I'm looking for a place that take care of dogs and that train dogs in Kentucky," because she comes back and forth between Florida and Kentucky. But she just said that dog had given her life again. So do you have widowers
Yeah.
situations?
Oh, absolutely. We just sold a dog to a gentleman in his 80s. He has diabetic nerve damage to his feet, but he's feeling vulnerable. He still wants to go out in public, but he
He
doesn't
wants to
have.
be alone.
Yeah,
And he wants to be independent.
Yeah, he wants to be able to go out in public, but he felt vulnerable. He's not the man that he used to be. Physically as strong. So it was a hard match because, he's using a walker to walk and, you can't bump into him, and the dog has to have service dog behaviors along with the ability to, protect him if a situation were to arise. So that's a challenging thing, but we have that a lot. We have literally every kind of imaginable situation come across our desk.
Yeah. You've sold dogs to a lot of folks that are well-known people.
For sure.
And all over the nation. I've seen a lot of pictures, and I think this would be the majority, where the dog goes to a family, where there's children ranging from babies to teenagers.
Yeah, absolutely. Our dogs are first and foremost family companions. Okay. They love people, they love children, they're bonded, they're fun, they know a lot of tricks, they're entertaining at a party. They're dogs that travel in public really well, because if a dog can't be with you, it cannot protect you. Just having a dog is a visual deterrent that will stop 99% of problems from ever starting.
Right. If you're just now listening or joining us, I'm talking to David Harris with Protection Dog Sales. You can go to that website, protectiondogsales.com, and see the videos of things that we're talking about. I want to ask you some personal questions as far as, okay, I'll just use my situation, for example, and just say, when I go to bed at night, what does a dog do?
Goes to his bed. And that's why all our dogs are trained from a very early age to go to their own bed and stay there until you tell them to get up. Literally will stay there for, until they burst, 10, 15 hours. They would stay until you release them to get up. Okay.
So they're not up roaming the house, tearing things up at night, going through the garbage cans and all of that.
No, they're, especially in the beginning when you get a new dog, it's good for the dog to have boundaries and to know where his place is. As the dog's relationship with you evolves, then you may allow him more latitude to roam around, just like you would a child. At first, you have very strict boundaries, and then you give them more and more responsibilities. A lot of our dogs will choose, not trained, it's instinct, to put themselves in between you and a entry point, like a door. So that's just an instinct for them to want to lay in between you and the bedroom door. A lot of our family dogs will patrol the house at night and lay at the top of the stairs so they can watch everybody's room. So that's a choice. If the dog is mature enough and has the experience, he can do that.
Are they taught to warn? Do they bark? What happens if there is somebody shaking a door or window?
So from the beginning of time, humans have had dogs because they hear better, they see better, and they smell, better than humans. So they're the first line of defense to know there's an invader in your home. So they pick up danger way before you ever know.
Do they sense it like a person does?
Yeah, they can smell the bad guy. So a person who has an evil intention, unless he's truly psychotic, and there's no defense from those people.
Sure.
But a normal person who's doing something wrong, they know. That little thing in the back of their head goes, you're doing something wrong, and they emit a pheromone that the dogs can pick up. Okay, the best analogy I've ever came from is if you're out in the park with your wife, it's a beautiful day, and you're sitting on a bench talking about things, and y'all decide to leave, and you get about halfway back to the car, and your wife goes, "Oh, Jeff, I've left my purse."
Yeah.
Well, you'll go back and get that purse, and you just walk back like a normal person, grab that purse. But if you were there to steal that purse, you walk differently, You move differently. You stalk, you creep, you stop, you move. Your eyes are different. Your pupils will dilate, and your body is kicking out fear pheromones. Dogs pick that up it's just blazing off your body. If you can visualize Pigpen from
Snoopy, Charlie Brown.
Yeah. Imagine Pigpen and they visualize the dust coming off of him. That's exactly what a bad guy's doing. The scent is just blowing off of him. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And the dogs pick that up.
Wow.
Instantaneously.
Well, do I have to get up during the night and let the dog out?
Depends on the age and the maturity of the dog, but not normally, no.
Yeah. So do you do you let the dogs out every morning? Do you train them to go to a specific place?
Yeah, they have a routine, and a lot of our customers don't have big yards. I delivered a dog to LA during the riots in 2020, and the gentleman had only a patch of ornamental grass about a foot wide and 8 feet. Otherwise, his house was on a cliff. And it only took us less than a day to teach the dog to use a bathroom in that little patch. Okay.
Yeah.
So our dogs are very adaptable. They're trained to use a bathroom on command. So you can point to an area and say, hurry up. That's our magic word to go to the bathroom. And they understand that very, very quickly. And we teach our clients how to build potty areas, how to maintain them. It's very important to us.
Do all dogs stay inside? Do they stay in the garage? Do they stay outside?
99% of our dogs they want to be with the family.
Okay.
They would be very unhappy left alone or left outside. They want to be part of a family. So typically they're going to stay with you wherever you go. Our customers take their dogs to work, take them shopping, take them on vacations. I have pictures of dogs all over the world.
Yeah.
I even have a picture of one of our dogs in the Vatican.
Wow.
Okay?
So you get up in the morning, you have your morning routine of getting ready. I'm in my morning routine, getting ready, devotions, coffee, breakfast, and I'm, up a couple of hours, then I'm out the door. So that dog stays at home. Can they stay at home by themselves 6, 8, 10 hours?
Easily. Yeah,
Okay.
that's your choice. They'd rather go to work with you. But if that's not an option, our dogs are trained from very beginning to be loyal, but not dependent. There's a big difference.
Good. That's really, I like that.
Yeah.
So they're loyal, but not dependent.
Yeah. So they don't fall apart if you leave them. They don't get upset. They're used to it. They're prepared for it. They're confident dogs. They're not nervous or anxious. They're very confident dogs. And though they prefer to go with you, they understand they don't always get to.
How much exercise do they need every day?
Very little. A lot of
That's
people,
good.
a lot of people believe that you have to exercise a dog to make them calm, and that's just not true. I have hundreds of educational videos, and one of them is called the exercise myth. People think the only way to get a dog to be calm is to exercise them to the extreme. The truth of that is all you're doing is making the dog more fit to drive you crazy. Obedience and discipline is what calms a dog.
Yeah.
What people would call a hyper dog, it's not a hyper. He's not hyper. There's nothing wrong with him genetically or chemically. What's wrong with him is he doesn't know where the boundaries are. The same as with a child. If a child doesn't know what the expectation is, they're going to push. They're going to push and see what reaction the mom or dad is going to give them, right? Unfortunately, human nature is designed to notice bad behavior much quicker than good behavior. So the behaviors you notice are the ones that get reinforced. Okay. So with a dog, you have to be mindful that you're not accidentally reinforcing whining, jumping, begging for food. So we teach our owners how to reinforce good behavior, how to notice when the dog is being quiet. Have you ever heard the saying, let a sleeping dog lie?
Oh, yeah.
It's a bad saying. It is a bad saying. You want to go to that sleeping dog and go, I appreciate you being calm. Give them a treat. Let them know that being calm is equally important to you. If you don't reinforce that calm behavior, they will whine, bark, annoy you to get attention. So anything you notice, it's going to grow.
What about that? So how often do you feed the dogs?
Once a day. Yep.
One time a day?
Yeah, if they're over a year old, they can eat once a day. And that we arrange it to fit your schedule. If you're going to be gone all day, you want to feed in the evening, make it easier for that dog. It doesn't have to sit all day with a belly full of food.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes sense.
So we teach our owners how to feed, when to feed.
Is that the standard one time a day or not?
Once they're over a year, when young dogs will eat 2-3 times a day. And so it's completely different. And the way we raise our dogs is completely different. But by the time you receive the dog, once a day is sufficient.
Can you have supper with the dog in the house without them
Absolutely.
begging?
Yeah, absolutely. They're always with you, and they just mind their own business.
It's been amazing to me. I've watched you, and I watched Daniel, who is the handler for, and is handler a right word?
Yeah, he's our lead trainer for
Okay.
protection dog sales.
He brought the dog in, and he was communicating with the dog. My wife came in, my daughter came in, grandchildren came in, 3 months old, 9 months old, 3 years old. He paid no attention to them. He was just doing what Daniel said. Now, when I don't know if he told him or what, but when I started talking to Nuke, and then he was playing with us.
Right. He released him. So when we have a command, watch me. That means to watch me until I tell you otherwise.
Mhm.
So when we tell the dog to watch us, they will focus no matter what the distraction is. Literally, you saw me clapping my hands, trying
Yes,
to lure the dog
right.
away from him. The focus under distraction is so important, okay? Because the dog cannot protect you if he's distracted. Imagine you had a security guard and he's always on his phone.
Yeah.
He's not paying attention. He's not protecting you. He's
Right.
distracted.
Right.
So distractions like cats, other dogs, children yelling, screaming, playing, someone playing ball, those are distractions that we prepare our dogs to avoid. And literally our dogs, if you try to distract them, a stranger tries to distract them, they become more focused because they think it's a setup. You're tricking me. Okay.
Because, I mean, we're talking about months and months, even a year or two of training. I mean, these dogs are not in a kennel. I've been to your place, and then I've watched the videos. I mean, there's a lot of time. That's why these dogs are not cheap, because they're not cheap dogs. They're very good dogs, and a lot of time and a lot of training has gone in, and it's basically all they know. Am I right?
Yeah, it's a lifestyle for them. They start training as soon as they're weaned, 6 weeks of age, they're training. And even before that, our puppy nannies, they will take the puppies out of the whelping box and walk them around the farm, and they teach them not to play bite and to sit when they stop.
Not to play bite.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, using the positive reinforcement techniques that we do with our early training, we teach our dogs to nuzzle the hand for attention, not bite it. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Okay.
That's interesting. But listening to you, it sounds a little easier to take care of a dog than I thought it was, than I thought it would have.
Well, we're doing all the legwork for you. We understand that the people that buy dogs from us have busy lives. They don't have time to train a dog. Okay. So we do all the training for them, and then we teach them how to maintain it. If you were to buy a 6-figure car, you have to maintain it.
Yeah.
You have to rotate the tires. You have to change the oil. You have to do maintenance. And we teach our customers how to do that. And the training is maintained in what we call mini lessons, little micro training sessions. So you're going to feed the dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Turn that into a training session. You're going to let him out to use the bathroom. We turn that into a little 5-minute training session.
Yeah.
You're going to play with him. 5-minute training session. That's how you maintain the obedience.
But on the other end, these are truly protection dogs. I mean, they will protect you.
Yeah, absolutely. They're fearless. They've never been hurt. They have extreme confidence. They believe they can win. Okay. And they're, more importantly, they're the time saver. They're the gap. In other words, if you're getting attacked, the dog can give you space to get to safety. Call 911. The dog is not the end solution to every problem that you're going to have with a bad guy, but it gives you the opportunity to move and react and get away from danger.
And then you said, of course, they're home dogs, but they love to go to work. Mm-hmm. So people who need a protection dog with them, I guess, they basically stay with them in the car, the truck, at work.
And from point A to point B. One of the first high-end deliveries I did was to a pastor. And he was having a lot of problem as he drove around town with, protesters trying to grab him, pull him out of his car, and, harassing his wife and children. So, he needed a dog that could travel safely with him. Okay. So we know our customers. We anticipate their needs. We're training the dogs to deal with open steps and noises and slippery floors and screaming babies and you name it. We're preparing for that.
So a businessman, suit and tie, he needs a protection dog. Dog goes with him to work. At work, he's fine. Where does the dog stay at work?
In their office, typically on his bed. Okay. So he's there if you need him, but for the most part, he's just part of the furniture.
Now, a dog typically sleeps how many hours a day?
20, 21.
Wow.
If you let them, they'll sleep all day. Dogs are predators. So a predator wants to conserve energy. So they're sleeping until it's time to work. And then they put all their energy into hunting, and then they go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether they hunted successfully or not, they're going to go back to sleep. So dogs, being descendants of wolves, will sleep as much as you let them. We tend to bug them and get them up and make them do more than they want to do. But if you let them, they'll sleep all day.
Yeah. Folks listening today and watching, their question, they have either looked it up or they want to ask, what does a dog cost?
They range. We have a lot of different programs for people that are trying to stretch a budget. I developed a program called the Build-A-Buddy or the Build-A-Beast, and that allows you to purchase one of our breeding stock puppies, super high-quality puppy, and then install it into our training programs and pay by the month for the training. So the low end of that program is about $35,000 to $45,000, and then we have different levels. People that want more, can afford more. We have the Super Dog program, and then we also have an Elite Super Dog program. We also have finished dogs, and if you want a dog immediately, we just delivered a dog to a lady who had a very dangerous situation. She knew that this person was coming for her. He was getting out of jail, and he's going to come for her, and she lives in an area that's a little more liberal than ours here in Kentucky. She wasn't going to get any protection from the police. So we had to select a dog and install it in that family very, very quickly. She had an immediate need, and we have an inventory of dogs like that.
Yeah, that's great. So and I also saw on the website the puppy, you can buy just the puppy, or the puppy is priced.
Yeah, typically we do not sell puppies without training.
Right.
Okay, what you saw on the website is the beginning of that program. Okay, so I used to sell puppies to the public, and I got tired of the phone calls, where they didn't develop it, they didn't train it properly, and I had to try to fix those problems, and it was sometimes almost impossible.
So you're not a breed mill just trying to sell puppies. You're trying to sell companion protection.
Yeah.
You're not trying. You do sell those.
So this is an important point. Obviously, we're a for-profit business, but we want our dogs to be happy and successful in their lives. And to do that, they have to have a high level of education. We prepare them to be valuable to the families, to be coveted. I've seen homeless people on the street with their dog. Yeah. It's not about money. It's about the connection you have with that dog. So we want our dogs to be successful, and to do that, we have to make them such a wonderful companion that you couldn't live without them.
How long does a dog live and stay with the family? Average lifespan?
Longevity has been something that I've actually personally been working towards for 40 years. So German Shepherds on average will live between 13 and 15 years. Giant Snarls are similar, and Dobermans very similar. So we've worked on the health issues because we don't sell puppies. We're literally raising every puppy we breed for a minimum of a year, and most of them for 2. We get to see all the health issues that could be there, and then we adjust our breeding program. So if I bred the litter of German Shepherd puppies and at a year and a half they had physical problems, I wouldn't repeat that breeding.
Right.
Okay. So we make adjustments. I've even cloned a dog to be able to go back in time genetically and repeat breedings that were successful.
I met one of those dogs, Pepsi.
That's right.
Pepsi von Prufen.
Yeah, Pepsi 2. Pepsi Duo.
Pepsi Duo.
So named her after the original Pepsi, who was a very integral part of my life. The dog you saw today was a Pepsi progeny. So the Nuke is 9 months old, and the original Pepsi's been passed away now for 5 or 6 years, but that dog's her great-great-grandson.
Wow. Man, I've really enjoyed talking to you. I love dogs, but you make it easy. All of the experience that you have, not just experience. You seem like a person new to business in that you still love what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're enjoyable to talk to and to communicate with. Jenny, your wife, is the same, and so knowledgeable as far as the veterinarian needs and the medical needs and all of that, and very caring.
Yeah, we have an amazing staff. I'm so blessed to have such amazing people like Daniel and, of course, Jenny. She's research-minded. If you've got a problem, health issue, or any kind of issue, if it's our dog or your dog, she'll dig in, and she won't stop until she solves that problem. She's incredible. Former police officer, firefighter, EMT. She's a self-made, incredible human being, and you can depend on her. She's super reliable. And our whole staff, they love dogs. At the core of this mission statement of ours is to make human lives better and to make dogs' lives better and to get that synergy between the two. And we've done that.
It's been a real joy to talk to you today. Can we go downstairs and see what Nuke is all about?
Absolutely. The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding's going to be good.
Good. David, welcome. I have the students here, most of them from Clays Mill Christian Academy. Some of the fellows are gone on a basketball trip, but we're glad you're here, and we welcome you to our school.
My pleasure.
Welcome you to the podcast today. I told the folks there is a rumor that my podcast has gone to the dogs. Well, today's episode may prove that to be true because our special guest today is Mr. Nuke von Pruffenpudden. I want you to welcome Mr. David Harris and Nuke von Pruffenpudden to our school today, all right?
All right. So one of the really interesting things about Nuke is we watched Daniel put him through his paces. This dog is only 9 months old, guys. He's a big baby. So Nuke's been in training since he was only 7 weeks old. There's play dead, back up, come to front, a bow, back to the heel position. This is called the weave. So these behaviors are so important to build that communication, to build that bond, to build that relationship between the dog and his handler. So we teach all kinds of physical skills. This is called a reverse weave. That is an extremely physically difficult behavior for the dog to do and for the handler. Thank God that Daniel has nice long legs. He's been blessed. So focus is so important, guys. You see how attentive this dog is? He's never met all you guys, a big distraction, but he's not distracted. Focus. That's called the guard. So if you went up to an ATM, he could guard your back. A down out of motion, play dead, crawl, back, back, back. We need a backup beeper. Where's that bark? All right, there you go. So once again, only 9 months old, very, very impressive. Shake hands, wave. Sometimes we forget how many behaviors he actually knows. And of course, he's great in public. He loves to go out. He loves to meet and greet people. Great in the car, great in restaurants. He's just a fun dog. And 7th generation of our bloodlines. The proof is in the pudding, and I believe that's pretty good pudding, guys. Hope you enjoyed that.
Now, David, this is a good companion, a friendly dog, but this is a protection dog too, right?
He is, and we have extensive video showing his protective skills. It's pretty shocking how powerful he is in the protection.
Well, we're sure glad you came today. It's been a blessing to have you on the podcast today. Mr. David Harris, we're thankful for him being here, and Mr. Daniel and Mr. Nuke von Pruffenpudden. Give them a hand, all right? Thank them for coming today.